The third edition of the annual event themed Africa of the Future, fostering inclusive prosperity for the next generation, is scheduled to hold tomorrow at Oduduwa Hall in Obafemi Awolowo University, Osun State. The award is part of efforts to celebrate some selected young people across the African continent by His Imperial Majesty, the Arole Oduduwa, Ooni of Ife, set to honor 100 outstanding youths with the Royal African Young Leadership Forum Awards. The award is a youth-centered annual event under the auspices of the Global Outreach Initiative of His Imperial Majesty, because the human resources of Africa are greatly entrenched in the minds of the youth. The mission of the RAYLF is to unveil the greatness of Africa's future by inspiring, transforming, celebrating, and empowering its new, best, and brightest young leaders' success stories. Since 2020, the Ooni of Ife has honored and celebrated 100 outstanding African youths every year. Joining us from Ile-Ife in Osun State is the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi Ojaja II, founder of the Royal African Young Leadership Forum. He will also be lending his voice to the sustenance of peace and unity of Nigeria ahead of the 2023 polls. He will be joined by Dr. Olusola Owonikoko, 2020 RAYLF Award recipient, who is with us here in the studio. Kabiyesi, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Kabiyesi, and welcome, Dr. Owonikoko, for joining us.
Thank you for having
Well,
us.
Kabiyesi, if you could just take us through the objectives of the Royal African Youth Leadership Foundation Award and what you intend to achieve by this initiative and what the journey has been like so far.
Thank you very much. If you look at the demography of their country, let us start from Nigeria, because we are the African giant. And if you look at the demography, we have over 70% in terms of youth population. And what they hear about all the time is the negative beat of our society. What they hear about every day and every time is complaints on security, unemployment, and that has been sort of the truth. But what is important is, out of all this, there are some of them that are doing well. So we're trying to create an ecosystem for them. And I've taken it upon myself on the Royal African Youth Leadership Forum to continue to celebrate them, create a very formidable ecosystem for them, let them network amongst themselves and relate very well in terms of leadership preparation for the public sector and the private sector. And to the glory of God, we've achieved so much over the last 3 years. We have a lot of track record in terms of positivity and their contribution to Nigeria and the entire Africa as a whole. We have actually realized that Nigerian youths, they are majorly on their own in terms of their competence, in terms of what they can give back to the society, both in the private sector and in the public sector. If you carve a niche for yourself in terms of mentorship, you will actually win their motivation. You will actually win whatever they can give back to their country. So for RAYLF, what we do basically is look for the best, headhunt them across Nigeria. We're starting from Nigeria as the base, and it cuts across the entire country, put them together, and look at what they've actually done on their own, without government intervention, without government interference, and without government support. What they've been able to do both in the public sector and in the private sector. And so far, so good. We have had speakers between the age of 19 and 39 in Nigeria within our midst. We've had commissioners, we've had National Assembly members. They've gone and continue to chase their career in the public sector, also in the private sector. We've had several unicorn CEOs, unicorn companies that are doing exceptionally well, and you will not believe it that they are doing this on their own and without any support from the government. So what we do within RAYLF family, we come together. In fact, you won't even believe it. We've seen couples. They actually met and they are coming together, developed a relationship, and those are things we are encouraging. We're encouraging very strong networking within the ecosystem, and so far so good. It's really working. So I look for them, they don't look for me. I go out of my way to look for them. We have a very structured office out of, it's called Ooni of Ife Global Outreach. We reach out to them, and we have a lot of strategic alliances with a lot of universities in Nigeria and all over the world. All the Ivy League universities are in partnership with us, the likes of Oxford University, the likes of Cambridge University, and even locally, we have more than 6 universities in Nigeria, University of Ibadan, University of Ife, and several other universities that are in partnership with us, just to mentor them for leadership in private and public sector.
All right. Thank you so much, Ooni, for that insightful, explanation to what this award really does. So I've got 2 questions. I've got one for you. And I've also got one here for Dr. Olusola Owonikoko. For you will be the criteria. And I want you to talk about the process, the process of sieving, because there are tons and tons of young people doing great things. Almost every part you check in Nigeria, people are doing great things, and also in the diaspora. So what do you narrow it down to? And is the award just about how well they're doing or also about their character? Because I remember when people get certificates out of Nigerian university, they say, we give you this because you've excelled in learning and in character. And character is something missing in our society today. Look at the political landscape, people that lack character. Look at our national life. Character is missing everywhere. So there's character to play a role in all of this. And for you, your question will be, what did you do? What have you done to get up this ladder for this award? So, Ooni, I'll come to you first, sir, and afterwards I'll come to you, Dr. Owonikoko.
Thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. And that's actually the base and the foundation of everything we do. Number 1 is character, and it takes about 65 to 7% of what we look. The content of their character in delivering whatever they're doing, how well they're creating that, how well they're creating things they're supposed to do, how well we're doing in terms of analyzing each character criteria that we use. It's very, very strong. And don't forget, most university dons and professors, we carry them along. I don't get involved in headhunting at all. I don't get involved in any way. I get to know them maybe a week or 2 weeks before that award, and we see what they are doing. We go as far as checking where they stay and the people that they live within their community. We go as far as to ask their employees. It's a very, very rigorous selection process. But what is important is the empathy for them to actually give back to the society, the empathy for them to actually believe that nothing bad can actually influence their decision in terms of what they will give back to their country. So what we do first is we work on each individual characters. And once the award is given to them, it's not something we just do on a one-off basis. I mentor them in my own limited capacity and capability. I actually develop a personal relationship with them. I take them around. What I do is even some of our leaders in private sector, we work on that. And we look for very, very select few leaders in the public sector. that everybody knows the content of their character, we actually bring them on board to continue to mentor them. So what we do is we are very careful about selecting them. It's a very rigorous process. And beyond that, after the award, we still look for how to surround them with very strong mentorship initiative. And so far, so good, it's working. If you look at what we've been doing over the last 3 years, I don't think we've actually gotten it wrong in terms of very bad character content, very negative things that these people are doing to the society. We haven't really gotten some feedback like that. So far, so good. Well, it's not a perfect system, but we're trying to work towards perfection for this system. So character is our mainstay, and we don't joke with it at all. In fact, some young people that they don't even have anything, what they do is they stay by the beach side. They just try to pick recycled materials. Some of them that are trying to break through in technology, and they have nothing. They are some of our awardees. So character is very critical for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Owonikoko.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, His Majesty. Like you said, which I think is very, very notable, is the fact that he comes to find us. I remember in 2019 when I got a visit from members of the team at my office. It wasn't as if I'd applied or, I even know so much about the award. But the fact that there's an institution in place to find people like me. And what do? I run Project Enable Africa, which is basically focused on empowering persons with disabilities with skills, connecting them with jobs. And sometimes we do some of these things, out of passion, out of our love and care for the country and helping where we can. But then it becomes a bigger deal when His Majesty found us, and give people like me an opportunity to scale the work we're doing. One notable thing he would usually say is that his throne is dedicated to the young people of Nigeria. And whatever doors we want to push, whatever place we want to get into, whatever opportunity we want to knock and have access to, he's happy to do that. And that is what he has been doing. So in a nutshell, the award is beyond the ceremony of giving an award. I think the biggest part of it is a support system, the ecosystem that we are able to build. The number of people I've met, co-awardees, and people that he has brought in from home and abroad to provide training, to provide mentorship, like I said, to open doors, like you mentioned. And of course, the direct access we have to him is unprecedented. The general idea you have of traditional institutions like his institution is that they are not approachable. Like you cannot get things done, working with them. But he has broken all of that barriers and walls. And today, I'm able to walk into the palace and have ideas and discuss with him. I'm able to say that this is what I'm trying to do on the global scale. And he's able to say, this is how you should go about it. I think that essentially bridges the biggest gap we have in my generation, the gap on mentorship. Because one of the things I believe strongly is for us to achieve success in this time, we need the wisdom of the old. We also need the strength of young people. The strength we mostly have, but people in my generation generally lack that wisdom and touch, that His Majesty provides. And, it just forms a perfect combination for us to scale, to have a worthy role model and be able to be consistent in what we do to contribute our effort to building Nigeria and, of course, the world as a whole. So I think the Royal African Award is something that doesn't exist, as a matter of fact, especially using institutional power to drive, every aspect of economic growth, leadership skills for young people. And the 5 pillars around which this idea is built, which is leadership and governance, entrepreneurship and empowerment, technology. We live in the age where tech is very, drives everything. Creative culture and academic excellence. All of these are what powers the award.
Okay. Well, Kabiyesi, let me come back to you first, and then I also have a question for you. Now, Kabiyesi, one of the pillars of this Royal African Award is leadership and governance. You have been reported as having been consistently encouraging young people to get involved in governance. Now, in 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law a piece of legislation called the Not Too Young to Run Bill, which was meant to empower young people. But in the current political process, we have many of these political parties, particularly the PDP and the APC, charging as much as 100 million, 40 million for people to purchase forms. Don't you see, or do you see a contradiction in that? On one hand, there's an attempt to encourage young people, but on the other hand, although they say some young people can get discounts to get those forms, but do you have any fears or any anxieties that the present process has already automatically excluded young people? And then when Kabiyesi is done, Dr. Owonikoko, I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about Project Enable, which you say you run, and how this award has impacted on the direct work that you do in Project Enable. Kabiyesi first.
Well, I'm going to go philosophical here. Nothing lasts forever. We've seen cycle of so many leadership emerging in Nigeria. At some point, we started with the military. At some point, the parliamentary system emerged, military emerged. Now, democracy emerged. But what we're seeing is appalling. It's very appalling, unfortunately. But I can assure you that nothing lasts forever. Just watch out for these young people. If you see what we've achieved, what we're trying to do, I'll give you a good example. A lot of people don't like me to talk about it, but I will talk about it. And that is the NSAS experience. Do you know that these young people are so organized? They were extremely organized, exceptionally transparent. They were raising money and they were actually breaking barriers. It was just very unfortunate that the hoodlums hijacked the thing away from them. If you see their structure, you will be completely blown away. The way they responded and they used technology to organize themselves across Nigeria. And you know the funniest thing? Most of them are these awardees. I'm not trying to say they are very bad people. No, but they had initial positive intention. But exuberance actually made it not to work. But my point is, let's look at it from a positive perspective. The mistake we make in Nigeria is you throw away the baby with bad water. Instead of you to throw away bad water and keep the baby because the baby is still very good. But you just condemn the whole structure of things you see. The things that are happening now, buying form for 100 million, it's going to be a reference point at some point in Nigeria for us to learn from the way we're learning from the military era. And we laugh over it and we use it as a basis for it never to return to this country. At some point, democracy will solidly emerge. It happened in the US in the early days of democracy. They were very, very highly corrupt, bootlegging. Some of their leaders were supporting opium sales. Some of their leaders, they were worse than what we're seeing now. So I can assure you, it's a matter of time. So these are all the processes that we're trying to prepare and entrench into their psyche. That look, you can do things without money. Money is just paper that you print, and we add value to it. Your content of character is very important. Keep them within an ecosystem. Do your own bit, and actually give this very quality and refined people back to the society for that society to continue to actually emerge. At some point, there will be implosion. I can assure you. It cannot continue like this. It's appalling what is happening in the country. But let's keep praying for the country and we continue to see good things for our dear nation because we believe strongly in Nigeria.
Well, Dr. Owonikoko.
All right, thank you. I think building up on what he was just saying, His Majesty, is the fact that there are two ways, to look at this. And of course, if we look at it in the short term, it becomes overwhelming. But also in the long run, is the fact that many of these policies would need a lot of more investment in young people to sustain them. Because it's not just enough to have the platform and opportunity for young people to be able to get things done. How much are we also able to empower and position them? And I think that's the beauty in the awards, in the Royal African Youth Young Leadership Award. Is the fact that there is a deliberate and conscious investment in an ecosystem of young people with multi-dimensional expression economic expression, social expression, and all of that. And that is the only way we'll be able to sustain this. But then coming back to the question you asked me about Project Enable Africa, which really is an organization that promotes inclusive engagement, especially for the community of persons with disability. Really, most of our work right now is driving private sector policy reformation processes, programs, and platforms to ensure that we have a nation that is truly, truly inclusive. And of course, part of a significant part of what His Majesty is doing is also ensuring inclusive prosperity, economic development for Nigeria, and that becomes a very, very important area of alignment. But one of the biggest outcome of the award is the formation of the Royal African Foundation. After 3 years now, we have about 300 young people that have been given the wonderful platforms, and support. The question is, what are we doing with that? And of course, that is the reason why His Imperial Majesty created the Royal African Foundation under the Ooni of Ife Global Outreach as a platform for all young awardees, all the awardees to come together and give back. What brought us there was the fact that we're already building organizations, institutions, corporate policies, and all. But through this foundation, we're able to do a lot more in a youth-centric platform that empowers all of us through the mentorship of His Majesty and, of course, a system and institution he has put in place to continue to build our country, to build economic resilience, to build community resilience, to build network, social structure, right? Because even if we are going to get into the political landscape and get a lot of things done like we're already doing, we need that critical mass of young people. And that is what this platform is powering, positioning. We need critical mass of young people in economic and business to make a lot of landmark, significant landmark. That is what this platform is powering, to give many people, strong voices to be able to drive the kind of change that we are doing. So I work to promote disability inclusion, but of course that is a part of the bigger picture that we are building, because when we all bring our pieces together, have strong leadership like the one we get from His Majesty, and have that platform to project, to scale, to have global, collaboration and get things done, then that is when we can achieve the kind of, society that we want to achieve.
Thank you so much. So I've got a double, whammy for both of you. First, as we lead up to the 2023 elections, Ooni, a lot of Nigerians are complaining that things are not changing. So this generational push that, oh yeah, things will cascade and they'll definitely become better. They're not becoming any better. I mean, yesterday I was checking through some archives of mine and I saw some cartoons from Josie Ajiboye back in the days. In fact, 1979, this cartoon was made. And the cartoon showed a federal commissioner going to meet, what is it called, an herbalist, or like they say in local parlance, a native doctor, asking him that, please, they've told us to resign our positions if we want to run in the 1979 elections. Help me look at my fortune. Should I resign or not? So that I don't lose both ways. And you see, that cartoon just indicates what is happening today. Since 1979, people that own ministerial positions find it difficult to resign because they want to run for office. Since 1979, there's still the talk about the unity of Nigeria. Some parts feel marginalized. We heard of Sunday Igboho recently, Nnamdi Kanu and the likes. Nigeria has been on the precipice. When you look at it, since 1979, the economy, it's been a tailspin, and nothing looks like it is changing. So a lot of people are asking, what is truly in it for us? Because we are going to 2023 again. We felt it was going to be the beginning of something great when we returned to democracy in 1999, but it looks as though nothing is letting up. Killings here and there in the north, insurgency here and there, safety no longer in the land. What would you say to people that have those doubts?
Well, you're not going to blame them. Thank you very much for another insightful question. You're not going to blame them at all. What is happening is real. And if you actually follow the trajectory of what I see to people in power, I usually tell them the truth, because most of them are very far from reality. And that's the truth. They belong to a particular section. They don't actually look deeply what is actually happening. Yeah, you mentioned that in 1979 as a good example that what happened then is still happening now. Yes, you're correct, but let me tell you the truth. It wasn't this worse as in 1979. What you were seeing then, the institutionalized corruption, everything that has been institutionalized right now wasn't that bad then. But what I will tell you is some people stood up to it. Then they were pioneers. I am assuring you that pioneers will emerge as well at some point. At some point in our country, we had colonization. Some pioneers, very few of them, came up and said no to it, enough. Nigeria would have been the first country out of colonization, but because of our complexities, we were not ready, because we were waiting for one another. Since 1952-53 in Nigeria, we've had very powerful politicians in the 40s and 1930s, the likes of Yinka Macaulay, and so many of them like that. They've been very exposed. So they actually prepped themselves up to become pioneers in all the way to the 50s. They were ready. They've been doing it. And at the end of the day, something emerged in eventually 1960. My point now is, yes, things are getting worse. When that implosion will happen, who will be the pioneers? Are we going to just fold our arms and continue to complain that things are getting worse? And we will prep some people up to pioneer this revolution and transformation? It's going to happen. I can assure you at some point. I watch you very keenly, your analytical mind. I am very, very proud of what you do. I watch you very well on TV. But let us look at the side of who will now take the mantle when that implosion, when that transformation occurs. And that is things we are trying to do, and tell them that, look, what you're doing is not going to last forever. Yes, it's getting worse, but at some point, prepare people that will be able and capable to pioneer those transformations. And that's the focus we are keeping at. Yes, it's getting worse. Security issues, we know. But at some point, who will pioneer all these things once that change comes? But I believe very soon, very, very soon, it will come. Yes, we're preparing for 2023 election. It's still an ongoing thing. Let's keep moving. Okay. I am very positive there will be change and transformation.
Okay, thank you so much, Ooni. Do you see any prospect for the future with regards to all the work you've been doing?
I do. I am very optimistic, and I mean, we understand, like we already established, that a lot of things are in bad shape. But I am of the school of thought that, like you were just saying, things won't stay like this forever. At some point, there will be triggers. At some point, there will be an opportunity for one or two or three of us to maximize, whatever is made available. But the question is always, when that opportunity comes, are we going to be prepared? Because I think if we look down history, we'll see various points where there's been unique opportunities for individuals to do something, either from government or coming from the market approach. There would be those opportunities when they come. But the question is, are we prepared as young people in this generation to maximize such, to see it for what it is? And seeing it for what it is being able to be patriotic with such opportunities and not just see them for individual gains. And I think that's the point in all of this preparation. All of these, platforms created by His Majesty is really to prepare a crop of young people within a conducive and safe ecosystem where we are very alert and positioned to maximize such opportunities in politics, in the economy, in every other sphere. And if you look at the development of many of the countries we emulate these days, you will see that the order of their development is not how we are taking it, and I would explain further. For many of us here, we are thinking that we'll deal with corruption build institution, and the good would come. But the interesting thing is that is not how development has happened traditionally. It has happened such that market actors, people who know, who have vision and drive, are able to create opportunities that pull in infrastructure and pushes out corruption. It's sometimes difficult to perceive, right? Because again, we are seeing it that how can we create the kind of economy we want when all of this corruption and lack of institution is what is prevailing. But the irony is we are going to create success and prosperity for ourselves irrespective of those things. And because of the kind of institutions and prosperity we'll build, we'll gradually push out corruption and have a pull effect on the kind of infrastructure we have. And that will be the only way we can fund and sustain rule of law and the infrastructure which is a custodian of social values for us. So it's a bit of a tough way to look at it, but I think looking at history, looking at America, looking at Europe, and many of the countries we emulate, that is how development happens. Because freedom will never be given, we have to go and get it. And it is a process of getting it through our own innovation and thinking and energy and wisdom, which is what we are seeing in play with the Royal African Young Leadership Forum. That is what will deliver the kind of future we want. And that is what has happened historically, as a matter of fact.
Okay, I saw something indicating that you are involved in the organization of tomorrow's event.
Yes.
Right? In your capacity, apart from being an award recipient, you're also involved in the running of the award. Now, I'd like you to take us through what to expect tomorrow.
Okay.
What format does the award ceremony usually take? And will it be live streamed? Is the invitation open? Or are we going to have the opportunity to join you via Zoom? While you reflect on that, I understand Kabisi is back with us. Let me go back to him and then you can reflect on that. Kabisi, now it was reported in the papers that in this 2023 process that you endorsed a particular presidential candidate. I would like you to clarify that because some of the papers said the Ooni of Ife has endorsed Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's one. And then your thoughts on zoning. Do you think the presidency should come to the south, or those who want you to remain in the north or anywhere at all, are right to make, that kind of suggestion?
Thank you very much. These are the issues we have, fundamental issues we have in their country. Zoning, they are very based on emotions. Let us go to the factual things and cut the chase. Who is going to turn around this country, irrespective of emotions and sentiments? We have built our institution on emotions and sentiment. It's unfortunate. It's not going to last. We have problems in this country, very big problems. Who is going to solve the problem of security? Who is going to solve the problem of unemployment? The youths are everywhere, and we are churning them out in millions. Who will settle this problem? And let us look at it very critically from our analytical mind, other than emotions and sentiments of zoning. It's very important. If our nation is built on sentiments, then we're going to have issues. What we need to do is face the facts. Let all our leaders, past, present, and the ones that are aspiring to be in the future, let them lock themselves inside one room and tell themselves the truth. It's very important for them to tell themselves the truth. And they should stop working in faction. Nigeria is greater than all of us. Nigeria is far greater than all of us. They are only just there for 8 years. The country that is greater than all of us, why don't they want to talk about it? It's very important they should talk about it. So the issue of zoning, I have a different school of thought based on it. What is critical for me is equality across board. Who is going to do the job? Is it the person coming from the south? If the person coming from the south is going to do the job, so be it. Everybody in life, they have their comparative advantage. Some have strengths to do things longer than others. Some does not have the competence and the wherewithal. Maybe their environment, maybe their tradition, culture will not sustain them to go all the way. If it's a candidate from the north that would do it, then let us go ahead. Now, when it comes to the basics of politics, they will now say, okay, north now. They will now break it down to northwest, north, east, north. What is going on in this country? Who is facing the issue of their country? You are saying north and south now. But when it comes to basics again, you will now break it down to northeast, northwest, and north central. Again, you are talking of south now. When you now go further, you now further to break it down to southeast, south-south, southwest. What is happening? Who is going to solve the problem of security? Who is going to solve the problem of unemployment? Why not? What is all this, for goodness sake? I know that at some point there will be transformation. Then on the second question that I am adopting, I'm a royal father. I ascended this throne as a young individual. God actually brought me to the throne that has been in existence for hundreds of thousands of years. I have to support and pray for all. I have to support and pray for all. They are better than one another, and that's the truth. It's a discussion for another day. But let us look at competence in Nigeria. It's our problem for a long time, emotions. And that's why we are not growing. That's why we are where we are today. But I can assure you, some good people, quality people are emerging to take the country out of all these doldrums. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kabiyesi. Well, Doctor, very quickly,
All
what
right.
should we expect tomorrow?
All right, so the event starts from today, actually, from arrival to the palace. Traditionally, I think the highlight of the event for many of us is usually the opportunity to have conversations. You know, when I look at that engagement, I remember the Tale by Moonlight event, you know, that we read in books. So we have something similar to that with His Majesty, usually on Friday evenings, where all the awardees are young people actually from around the world come together and hear, learn from his wisdom, ask questions, interact. Because at the end of the day, this is built around mentorship and, leveraging on institutional capacity to get things. And tomorrow, the D-Day is the award, where we bring everybody together in a ceremony to celebrate the achievements, the ingenuity, the innovation that young people have. And of course, throughout tomorrow is various opportunities to learn, to share. Various young people will have forums, business masterclass, tech class, and all of those. And the goal really is let us learn, share, collaborate, and let's know how we can support one another. And let's network, right? What do I have that you need? What do you need that I have? And all of that will be created, of course, in a fun environment where young people can truly be relaxed and learn. And of course, on Sunday, there's a lunch also with His Majesty, where we all get again around him to learn, to interact, to ask questions, and to start to develop plans on how we want to carry on and pay this forward. Because like I mentioned earlier, the foundation for this is our capacity, not just to get things done for ourselves as individuals, but to also come together and extend this goodness to the society, to a lot more people, to young people. And that's what the conversations will be around. I believe the ceremony tomorrow will be live, so everybody is able to join in and see what is happening. And of course, if you there's a registration link if you'd like to attend physically, so that we can plan and prepare.
What's the link to the website as we wrap up? Quickly.
So the website is RAYLF.org. On that website, you see all the details of the link and all of this.
Well, thank you very much, Your Royal Majesty, the Ooni of Ife, for joining us on the morning show today. And thank you also, Dr. Owonikoko.
Thank you for having
joining us. We wish you all the best with the program this year.